we'll take turns talking. And I'm Fabian with Anuhazi with Christos Avatar. Today I'm interviewing our star sister, Leslie. And so would like to have her introduce herself to you guys. And let me see. Oh, it minimized there. Okay. Go ahead, dear. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Leslie, Leslie Ann, aka SpaceStoria. I started SpaceStoria back around 2019, 2020. I had gone through a spiritual awakening, as most of us would call it. I was super faithful when I was younger, kind of lost my sense of faith, found my faith again after I crashed into a wall with my own car, and then realized there's some changes that need to be made. And then through those changes, SpaceStoria grew. And here I am.
Wow, that's awesome. Usually some of us go through some type of disaster or drama before we go through an awakening, right? And so
Oh,
yours had to do with the car, right?
yes.
So, could you tell us what space Storia means and where did you come up with that idea and what does it actually mean to you?
So SpaceStoria came around because I used to have a larger following on Instagram back before I crashed my car. Like it was a whole different person. So when I was in that phase, when I was reborn, I guess you could say when I had a rebirth, I wanted something that I could resonate with. I was really into learning about space history at the time and just learning about all that kind of stuff. And from there, I just mixed an Italian word story for Storia. That's where the Storia comes from because it means story. So it's space story. So like space history. And then that's how SpaceStoria came there together, how I made that.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I have this huge interest in I think a lot of Indigo children and Starseeds have an interest with space, right? Because we don't feel like we're come from Earth. We feel like we're from somewhere else. We feel so different, and a lot of us feel lonely actually. So it's so awesome that we can have indigos, come together and into a community and share this energy, this code, and this memory. So thank you for. I'm so happy you found your point, and so we can bring this conscious awareness together. So.
Thank you. Thank you. And it was really interesting during that time when I came through SpaceStoria. That's how, as I started doing more and more learning, and you get into the alien aspects, you start learning about like all the different buildings and how certain things were built, but it doesn't make sense with the things we're taught. And so it was just like a whole whirlwind. And then that's how I came across Ashayana Deane. And it was very interesting because I went through oh my gosh, I went through months of just like reading her books and watching her workshops, and I resonated with so much of her information. So it was definitely remarkable. I felt like that information really took like the concepts and things that we're taught, like it just takes it to a whole nother level and gives you like this whole other branch of just wow, there are so many concepts and thoughts and ideas, and we're not just trapped into this one idea of religion, things like that. And it was very interesting because during that time I had come across your videos. This was years ago. So it was very amazing that when you ended up reaching out to me, I was so in shock. I was like, wait, this is literally, I used to watch his videos a few years back, and it was a blessing. I felt like it was a sign, and I had to accept. So
Well,
thank
yeah, definitely. And we're all like, kind of like when we meet each other, we activate parts of ourselves. And so, especially when we have a similar interest in the Ashayana Deane work, and you made your comments, I have something similar. It really answered many of my questions, like deep questions that I had about the universe, about ourselves, about, what is our true history? What is our true potential? And so it's probably, I think, in my opinion, the most profound teachings on earth, actually. And of course, not everyone resonates with it, and it's a matter of discernment. And I think I've even heard our teacher Ashayana say herself that most people interested in this body of work are star seeds or indigos. So, do you consider yourself an indigo child, or?
I pretty much, I've just kind of like I've never given myself a label with any of it, but I've definitely resonate with all the information. I resonate with the aspects of indigos. I did really went into deep research with all of that too, which was really amazing. And it is awesome. So for sure, I definitely resonate with all the fact that there's just, we're so much more. We are definitely so much more. And I love I think I just love all of it. It's been a, how can I say, a blessing to be able to, one, allow myself to, you have to be really open-minded at some point when you come across this information. Because I know when I first came across this information and I was like really hype about it, and I was like, wow, this is really great stuff. And I wanted to share that with others. But when I did share that with others, it was like, if they're not in that space to be open to it. Oh yeah. And it was like, but don't you get it? And it was like they didn't. And so that it did feel lonely at some points, learning the material and digging deep into it. And but I wouldn't change it for nothing. It definitely was. It's life changing. It's life changing material, honestly. And like you said, like it just answers so many questions, and it fills in blanks that are never answered, something like in our usual society. And it gives purpose to life. Honestly, I felt like it gave purpose to life. Like we are here for so much more. We can make a difference. And as you say, connecting with one another, we are all parts of pieces of parts of a bigger puzzle. And that's so beautiful. And connecting with one another is beautiful. Which actually, I was curious, how did you come across her material?
Yeah, well, I actually started like a lot of people. I saw the Carrie Cassidy interview that she did. Carrie Cassidy is also a true speaker, a Starseed Indigo. She does a lot of interviews with whistleblowers in the secret space program. And so, but she was into Ashayana's work herself, and that was a huge channel that I was following. And so when she did the interview with Ashayana, I like, what is this information? It's like something I've never seen or heard before, right? So I started, searching online about her. I found out she wrote Voyager's books and part one, part two. There's also Angelic Realities book. But for those of you who may not know, there's a ton of workshops from 1998 all the way up to even now, but a lot of people are studying this decade of work. Have you seen any of her workshops yourself?
I've seen the ones that which are now deleted, and I used to share them
Oh,
on my website. I would post them for people to, like so they can come across it. And they all got deleted. And I used to watch all her old workshops, but the name you just brought up, I want that name. You said Carrie Cassidy, is correct?
yeah, Project Camelot, that's her company name. And she was banned from YouTube.
Okay,
Uh,
I remember that. That's the one where they're like sitting in a house, and she has like the board next to her and she's explaining things. Okay, that's exactly how I came. Yep, you're right.
yeah, it was like I think she doesn't do social media in general, but she made an exception because she's connected to what you call the Guardians, and they wanted her to come out. And so she honored this interview with Carrie Cassidy, and to finish answering your question, there was a workshop that she did. I found out right away when I found out about her in Phoenix. She lived in Phoenix at the time, and I lived in Tucson, which isn't about an hour and a half away. So I thought that was synchrony. So I went to the workshop. I got to see her in person, and Carrie Cassidy. She was like standing in the back, but it was like a full auditorium, like 500 people. So I've seen some of her workshops. I didn't see that many people in the videos, but this workshop was huge. So, um, and like you said, it was a great gift and blessing in my life. And I resonated with like that. And even if I didn't understand it all, I knew something was legitimate about this, and that was willing to invest the time to learn about it. And so that basically got me down the rabbit hole. And I would say years later, I became real serious about it and wanted to start sharing it like you're doing, sharing it, making videos, sharing articles, sharing links. And the reason why we can't see these videos all the time is because they're being censored, they're being taken down, unfortunately. But a lot of people are personally finding the videos and uploading them to like um, I suggest people search YouTube first and then search Google for something in her name or search BitChute. I found out is a channel where a lot of people who get censored, they go upload there. But also another source would be Telegram. So those are some ways for some of you watching this video to also connect to the information. And we're always actively sharing it. We give links to the material and stuff. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think this it's a huge journey and a lot of things going on, don't you think, in the world?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like it's definitely a shift. It's a shift that's happening, and we are all blessed to be in the middle of it. Not everybody will see it that way, of course, sadly, but it is a blessing to be a part of it and be able to shift with the consciousness and just experiment with it. We're in such a beautiful time in life, and there's just so much energy at play. So why not grab the best of it and learn from it? And um the one thing I sometimes usually get is, I'm pretty sure you've heard it too, is like, oh, like, well, all these things happen in the world, like how could you feel good, like look at what's happening. And it's like, again, as the material teaches, as many people teach, because like a Bashar teaches material in that sense. I've plenty of books, Lisa Hull, and there's beautiful amazing authors out there that they all teach the same thing, and it resonates with so many people for a reason. It's not for nothing. And when you really take that path of knowing there are a lot of things happening in the planet, but what the only thing we can do is work on our present time and what we can do now as individuals. That's what matters, and on that is what shifts around us. It's not selfish, it's what creates changes around us and makes us more aware of what's going on around us, and that's what leads to change. So it's, yeah, the material's eye-opening. So many authors and amazing material out there with beautiful ideas, concepts, uh, developmental, learning material, and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are seeking, who are on a spiritual journey, and like you mentioned, different authors and people, other people, they don't necessarily know the Christos information, but they're finding it within themselves, and their higher parts are, you would say, gently, your soul is guiding you towards your purpose in life because that is you. And so you yourself is guiding you towards what you're connected to. And like you said, not everyone resonates, but there is different teachings in New Age and different ideas about unity. We're all trying to come together in unity. We're all trying to, reclaim our Christ consciousness. And so this is uh, a spiritual war too. So we have to acknowledge that. We don't just ignore it. But so you're going to have, I wanted to ask you, Leslie, if you've been like attacked by other people, like saying this word, because I think we can expect we'll get kind of like hate or whatever, people, you would say reacting in their hologram, in their, in their 3D consciousness. Have you had anything like that when you started doing these teachings?
yes, for sure. I even felt, well, to be 100% honest with you, when I came across her material, and it was so much to learn, and you know this, like it is a lot of material. So when I did really come into it, and I decided like, hey, I want to really deep dive into this, and then I felt like I want to simplify it. Once I started simplifying it, before I would even post it, I was getting like nervous, because I was like, I know this is like a lot of information and people are going to be like, what is she talking about? But I felt moved. I felt like, this is, if I'm going to have a YouTube, I want to share authentically what feels right for me. And that is what I was like really into learning, and what I do still love to learn. And it's a part of help me become who I am now. So yes, when to answer your question, definitely yes. I still have some comments sitting there that people are, they will say some funny stuff. At first it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like the ego gets in the way immediately, and it's like, like, oh, this is wrong, and or this is embarrassing, and I would just move past it every time. Like, listen, like, this is literally what I talk about. This is what I do. This is how I feel. This is what I read about. I mean, this is, and if you don't like it and you don't resonate, it's okay. Like, find what resonates with you then. So I had to find a space for sure to be comfortable with certain comments and things. And, or sometimes I have people, which I'm very grateful for, but they do come and message me sometimes. Like, they want to personally email for that type of information. But I'm always very honest that it's not my information. And I don't want to like butcher like anything she's saying. Like, so it's like, I hand them the workshops. I'm like, here's some videos that are still available. This is great, and you resonate with what feels right for you, because I might listen to her and feel one way about it, and somebody else might interpret it differently. And so it's good for them. I rather to like hear it out, but I do like to simplify it. It's fun to try to like bring it together and make it. I homeschool my child, so I teach my son some of these things. He's 9 years old, and so I like to break it down for him. And so that's why there's kind of where the simplification idea and all that came together, where I was like, oh, this would be fun to simplify for people. And just that kind of, I don't know, I like things simplified. So that's kind of what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, that's good that you didn't let that overcome you, like kind of like a resistance, right? But we have to stick to it and realize that, hey, we're kind of like representatives of this Guardian Alliance or Emerald Order. We're actually here to do something like this, and if we do it through social media, that's a legitimate way to communicate to lots of people, and you can expect that not everyone's going to resonate. And you obviously went through that. I've gone through that. And maybe some people can't handle that, but we have to stick to our mission and just have conviction and keep on educating ourselves. I do the same thing, Leslie. I always give people, hey, here's some links, man. There's a lifetime of work to study, right? Here's the PDFs. I'm not like uploading it myself and saying here, but I'm giving you links to what's already out there so people can find it and see if they resonate. And if they do, I say, hey, go check out more of the workshops and information. So I think
No,
that's a good
definitely,
way.
yeah. What you do is amazing. I love what you do, and it's awesome. I mean, that's how I came across you. I mean, I came across you, at that time too, and I was watching your videos, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, so it was beautiful. It was great. Yet what you're doing is right on track, and that's that's like you said, like, if we're going to use the social media, why not use it to connect? Why not use it to teach? And then, okay, we have there's so many videos out there of so many explicit things that shouldn't even be out there on the internet. And it's like, oh, what we're talking about is nothing but can bring somebody purpose, in a sense. Like, maybe not everybody, maybe it's just a cool story for some, right? But it's better than having these all these illicit, explicit things on the internet. It's great information. It's shareable. It brings a conversation to the table. It challenges, and it's not to have people disagreeing with each other and arguing. That's the whole point. The whole point is for we all have our own points of view. We all have our, but we can do it in, communicate in a beautiful way. And if we're taught that by like doing things like this openly, like being able to discuss material like this, and some people might be like, oh, what are these people talking about? I mean, if not in this lifetime, some lifetime we will resonate, because we all grow. Like, there's a cycle that will continue, whether you're ready for it or not, it continues. And I'm just blessed that we are taking our awareness back. That was, but I feel like at least I had my awareness taken away from me through society, and to have it now in my power, in a sense, again, like I'm in control of what my will, who I am, and how I think and what I say. And I feel like it's just beautiful. Nothing can change that for me.
Yeah, we there could be all kinds of things happening negative in the world, but we can stand in our grace, stand in this consciousness that we're bringing into ourselves. I mean, it's a real thing. There is change. I mean, we can acknowledge that we had some distortions in our previous ideas and beliefs, but we love ourselves, we love God, we love all life. And so we can be honest with ourselves, even some brutally honest if we have to, and just heal that within ourselves. There's so much healing. I mean, I want to ask you, don't you agree that there's so much healing that needs to be in the world, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? I think people are seeking some type of healing. What do you think about that?
I 110% agree with you. And it's funny because it's like almost we have that social media and the answers are there for, the answers are there, whether it's like your material, my material, somebody's material out there. There's information you can resonate with. There's no way, this is not a losing game. Like, but it's very interesting to see because so many you can see like the hurt, like they choose not to heal. They feel like there is no healing path, and there is, and it's crazy. And I'm comfortable saying that because 110% that was me. I was that person that I saw everything negative and I was like everything's garbage. Like that's the way I saw it. I didn't see any hope in anything. I played the victim. And through that, all that came was just more like a cycle and energy I got stuck in of creating the same thing over and over and over again until, again, like I mentioned earlier, when I got into the car accident with myself, and that kind of like knocked spirit back into me. And it was like, hey, like, wake up. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is your wake up call. And I knew right then and there, like, I had to change my thought process. And that's what everybody has to start realizing. It's the change. It's not that you have to jump to like what I'm learning, what you're learning, what all these, like what resonates with you, to bring that faith back into yourself, to want to heal, because healing is a process. It is a very long process, but once you begin it, there's no stopping that track, because once you've healed one thing, you'll heal the next. And definitely the world is crying out for some healing. And I feel like it's at that tipping point where it's like that. I believe Ashayana says it in one of her workshops, where it's like the gun has been shot and the bullet is just about to hit, and we're in that slow-mo period where it's just about to like make its income, and we're in that pressure point where it's like about to hit, and people are feeling that pressure. People are feeling the need to change and to heal, and it's the free will, though. It's your choice at the end of the day.
Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
have you is there any type of spiritual practices or anything you do? Like I personally like to work with crystals. I like to go to drum circles. I'm into a little bit of yoga, a little bit of, is there any type of modalities like that that you are interested in or have in your lifestyle?
Um, at the beginning, I did have a routine with myself, but I had created a routine because I had a lot of anxiety that I was healing and working through, trying to get control of that. So I had to downpack a routine for myself. And so yoga became a part of that, meditating became a part of that. And then through those, I learned how to become calm. I even used to do the Maharic shield activation technique that Ashiana provides. And I would put all those things a part of my routine. And I did that for a while. And eventually I found myself in a spot where, I'm not saying this is, I'm not, we're all human. So there's, you get to a level, but then you get pulled down and you have to learn again and you come back stronger. But so at that time, was doing all those things. And from there, I pretty much learned how to begin like channeling my higher self. That's what I would consider it, to be honest. I wouldn't say I was channeling anything like how Ashana says. It wasn't anything out like anything else. I just felt like it was my higher self. And I felt like, okay, I know if I'm doing good for myself, if I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my thoughts, if I'm doing this routine of making sure I bring myself back to my present, the more I did that, the more I began channeling, the more I began hearing higher self. And so I would know, okay, something's going on within inner self that needs to heal, because I would kind of lose that connection. And I'd be like, okay, well, what am I not doing in my routine right? And then I can bring that back in, whether it's bringing back meditation, something to start bringing back the present moment and practicing it. Because we're in our 3D everyday life, so it is very difficult. We can't walk around like monks all day. So that would be nice, you know, to be at peace all day, but there are hassles and things that come across. So things that take our attention away. And when it's something that takes your attention away in the 3D, it makes it difficult to channel because you're not in the space to channel. Like you're not in the space to meditate. So bringing myself back to that awareness every single time, whether it was like I'm cooking and my you know, bringing back to the fact that I'm cooking and being in that experience, even that could lead to channeling because I was embracing what I'm doing in the moment. And so that's really what I tend to practice now is bringing the focus back. And then of course the meditating and sitting outside and just being away from everything and just letting the thoughts all roll through. So then that way my mind clears out and that way I can finally listen to my true self.
Yeah, that's like you know, it's part of your activations. We start perceiving extrasensory, and you could say channeling yourself is part of that, and perceiving or start having more lucid dreaming, more type of past life recall. I want to ask, have you had any type of psychic experiences like that, or besides the channeling?
I'm definitely a lucid dreamer. Like I will shoot
Wow.
off into that's like at first I didn't know it was that. It was definitely just a bunch of like I thought it was just chaotic like dreaming and I just kept knowing that every time I was in my dream, I would know I'm dreaming because I would see myself in bed, but then I'm talking to people and telling them like, "Aren't you here with like I'm in bed? Where are you at? Are you in bed too? Like I'm sleeping. Are you sleeping?" And I started doing, and I didn't understand it at first. Like, why do I keep doing that? And the more I kept reading and learning and being open to it, because also if you're just when you're not aware of it, it definitely kind of takes its own control and it just does what it wants, takes you where it wants. You just kind of get shot around everywhere. And so I had to learn to, if I am lucid dreaming, I'm able to, again, trying to practice the same thing that I practice during the day where you bring your focus and you do that in the dream. You bring your focus so you don't freak out with the energy and then bounce yourself out of there. I try to stay in to like fully embrace the experience. So I've had that and those are beautiful experiences. I absolutely love those experiences. And pretty much like you know meditation when I've reached
Yeah.
when you reach that light point, well I call it a light point where I feel like I just kind of get like shot into a very bright star in a sense, and once I'm in there the feeling is just it like takes complete over and then I'm in there for a while and it's just a beautiful euphoric feeling, just like a void, but like it's all a sensation to be like nothing really runs through my mind, just like the stillness of it all.
Yeah, that's awesome because I mean, I think it's just parts of your higher selves, you know, part of that energy that's you dormant in our DNA. We're bringing it to active, you know, activating that. So we can, some people would describe that as paranormal, what you just said, or supernatural, but it's not, you know, it's not as if we can even explain that to someone who's not ready for that or doesn't believe in that. And it's not like our job to convince people. I mean, we respect all people's beliefs and but at the same time, we're not going to have other people dismiss our experiences. You're right. So we just there comes a time where we have to put boundaries on certain energies that aren't positive, and then embrace the ones that are. You know, like you found yourself in a star one day, right? So now we are finding those connections within ourselves, and it has to do with. I'm sure you've probably taught about it yourself about the stellar activation cycle, right? I've seen you show the Cathara grid in some of your videos. Can you talk
Oh
about
yeah.
that?
Yes. Oh, that took me, let me tell you, that took me a minute to when I and then when I got to angelic realities, it took me a minute
Oh
to start
yeah.
understanding certain things. I was like, whoa, wait. I would have to like read again, like trying to connect all of it. And but yes. The Cathar grid was amazing. To yep, there it is. Yes. I have it in a PDF form, so that's how I've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
to read it.
By Ashayana Deane. Oh, is that backwards? Yeah, it's backwards.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. They saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's the Cathar grid was amazing to learn. That was really fun. That was really like eye-opening. It made me understand actually before any of that, a lot of people have their ideas of what they're discussing with dimensions and all these
Oh
things.
yeah.
And I was like, I never really caught on to any of it. And then when I came across Ashana's material, I was like, okay, this is confusing, but something about it is like, I really want to learn this. Like, I
Right.
really want to understand this Cathar grid.
Right.
And once I got delved into it, yeah, that was super, super awesome. I mean, the whole story. Um, I came across, actually, I remember exactly how I came across Ashayana because during that time with SpaceStoria, when I was learning everything, coming across things, I was on YouTube often. I had a friend, Julida, that she knew I was getting really into learning all this stuff. And then she sent me a video of Fall of Metatron. And that's
Oh,
exactly where my dive started. And I was like, whoa, whatever you sent me, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Thank you. And it just I sunk down into it after that.
wow. And you even have the diagram behind you and you're trying to explain the diagram. You guys got to check out her website. You have a website, you have an Instagram account and a YouTube account, right?
Yes, yes, I do.
And we'll link all those at the end of the show. But I want to say she's explaining the Cathara grid, and many videos are out there of someone doing that. So I think that's awesome that you did that. Did you get um a lot of people asking about it? Because it's kind of confusing for some people, right? Or they say it's a
Yeah.
true life, maybe, or something.
So pretty much when like I said, like when I first did it, it was more like just to simplify it. So I wasn't even thinking
Mhm.
people were really gonna, I didn't even really think people were gonna like come to the videos like that. And I posted those videos about a year ago. And then now, like more recently is when it started catching traction. And now is when everybody started, yeah, they started asking me. I've had either they're telling me, I either have people upset because of their own beliefs. So I
Yeah, of
have, that going on there. And then
course.
I yeah. And then I have other people that this is brand new to them and they're interested. Then I have some people that this is brand new to them and they're like, what the heck are you talking about? You're out of your mind. Then I have like, so I do have like just a vast variety of different people in there, but a lot of them actually show interest, which is what's really awesome. I always say, as long as something can bring somebody a spark to give them purpose in their life and do their own digging, I think that's the best thing we can offer them. Even if they don't continue to go down the workshop path, that's fine. Just if this gave you a spark and you're like, hey, I'll start here and I'll see where this goes, like, hey, go for it. That's what continues to bring us all together.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like a journey, right?
Yeah, it's
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
teaching you learn stuff. I
yeah.
felt that. So,
I I agree. And what got you started with your journey? You like when starting with your videos on YouTube, how did you feel about that, starting your YouTube journey and getting into all that?
yeah, well, I started having like because honestly, I didn't believe in like you mentioned some of your stuff before you found the materials. It's just kind of similar to me. I didn't like believe in all that stuff. And so it wasn't until in my 3D life where I started experiencing extrasensory perceptions, which I didn't know, I didn't believe before, but they were happening to me. I had to acknowledge it. And so that immediately got me into searching all about the spiritual stuff and psychic stuff. And I had my own a couple of years of channeling too. So I didn't know what in the world that was. Well, what is this? Different languages, different energies. And so it just led me to searching I got into the occult for a while because I was trying to find an explanation for what was going on with me because no one on my family could understand. They're all hardcore into religion. That's okay, bless their beliefs, but I couldn't get no support in that direction, family. So I had to find out just through research. And so one thing led to another. And when I did finally found Ashiana's work, that's when I realized, hey, I'm doing this all wrong. That's okay because there was a reason I went through that first, but in the end, I started transmuting a lot of those old beliefs and practices, and it just led me into my own shadow work. Led me into my own shift, like you explained your shift. I went through this shift, and so it just had became the main focus of my life. Now here I am teaching it and talking about it and sharing it. And I'm still learning, and I'm sure you can say the same about yourself. We never stop learning, right? This is something that we commit to, and it's not just something we do on Sundays. This is something we do in our lifestyle. I mean, it depends on everyone's life experiences and circumstances, but I want to focus everything on it and become a master in consciousness, become a master in energies, and share that with the world. Because I believe if we feel a connection to this information, well, we're connected to the Guardian mission. We're connected to bringing this awareness. You're teaching, I'm teaching, other people are teaching. So when I found out about you, I thought it was so awesome, Leslie, that there's other people actually talking about this, and with enthusiasm. We see your enthusiasm in your videos. She's always happy and smiley and friendly. So I think it was that's pretty much what I went through. So I'm just grateful. I'm not going to judge my old self. I'm not going to hate on my old self. Like, what? Why did I do that? But so yeah, it's been a journey.
No, I resonate with so many things you said there. Wow, absolutely. And thank you so much, by the way. I appreciate the kind words. Uh, I get you 100%. The fact that you even said, I love that you brought up the occultism and like how you said you got into that a little bit first.
Yeah.
It's funny because in a sense, that's how I started too. And I almost felt like a betrayal when I was like, kept learning and learning. I was like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong. And
Yeah.
then realized like, wait, like then that was a whole healing process. And because it was like, no, it's okay. I was still on the right steps. Like I was just seeking, I'm learning, and that's okay. And I just love that you brought that up. I also came from a very religious family. We were raised Catholic. So that was like a huge part of our lifestyle. And I was taught like, you pray on every bead and all these things. So even walking away from that and when my mindset was changing, and that was difficult. Family did take that pretty harsh, and it was like, no, I still believe in God. I still know I didn't make myself. All
Of
right.
course.
Like, so it's like, it's cool. Like, I'm not saying I'm God. I mean, I'm saying I'm a part of God, which actually reminds me of a beautiful teaching. Ashayana goes over God's baggage when she explains the fact of, you starting off, as source, and source begins to break himself down because he can't fit all his energy into these lower frequencies. So he leaves a little baggage of himself here, then he leaves a little bit of baggage of it. And those little bits and pieces are parts of ourselves. And eventually that's what breaks down and creates us. And so, it's still all beautiful. It's still all, and as you say, of course, as long as, everybody's open to learn what feels right for them. And so I'm very grateful that this material brought us together. And you're right. I mean, we could be some serious guardians out here, really ready to drop this information on these people.
Yeah, we're dropping codes. So, and
Oh yeah. I
we,
agree.
we when we go through our own healing, and we're not perfect, this planet has a lot of distortion, and just going to the grocery store and coming back, you need to cleanse yourself, right? So,
Oh my God,
um,
facts, seriously.
and but yeah, we become like priests, like they were in Atlantis, and you learn from these teachings. We were called magi kings, priest kings, and even um, we talk about God, we talk about Jesus, but it's just not from the same beliefs. We respect all beliefs. Not everyone respects ours, but we move on. And so this is a huge change and shift that's happening in our planet. And we experience ascension symptoms. We experience changes, and not all of them are positive. Some of them are, of course, but it's something that we're awakening to and learning more and more about through the information, but also within the teachings. They talk about your inner Christ, your inner Christos, our inner God spark. And for a lot of people that they believe that's blasphemy or wrong, but hey, this is what unity is. I mean, right? God's omnipresent, God's everywhere. You can't be separate from God. And so we find that. And bless Jesus too, because he was an Indigo child. So he's one of our homies, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Which when she went over that material, I really actually resonated with that.
Yeah.
Like when she began to speak about, Joshua 9 and how that all played out, and I was just like, all right, wait a minute. Like this is what I've been telling people. I've been thinking of stuff like this, and it was so like awesome to hear. Like I don't know, because I mean, you hear these stories again, like since raised religiously, we're shoved certain stories, and I even as a child was kind of like, hey, but what about this and some of this, and like there were so many gaps. I felt like, and I was just like, where are these gaps filled? Because this isn't fully resonating with me. I understand that the meaning behind it is absolutely beautiful. I understand it's about there's God, and we respect that, and I trust it. I understood that. It was a matter of like, but where the curiosity as humans, again, we are humans, so the history of it, I was like, where is this coming from? And no book that was just made 100 years ago is going to tell me what was really happening really back then. So that's kind of where it just kept going into a deeper dive. So when I came with Ashayana and she was talking about Joshua 9 and all those things, I was just like, yes, this is what I want to hear.
Yeah, because we come in here from these higher worlds, we incarnate and we come into the body and we made it a birthing contract with our parents' souls. Maybe they don't remember, but we go through this whole journey and we wake up and there's a lot of sleeping indigos, but we're meant to waken up. We're meant to help others and we have to be always mindful of this, no judgment, because we're so conditioned to be judging what other people believe, what other people look like, whatever they say or anything. So, well, this is kind of challenging for us because we have to learn how to deal with that. We have to be in the eye of the storm, so to speak, or the hurricane. And while there's all this stuff happening, we have to be here in ourselves and stand in our power, stand in our light, shine our light no matter what comes our way. We have the tool sets. We know how to heal ourselves. We know how to protect ourselves. We know how to place boundaries. It's an ongoing process. The whole world, 8 billion people are not awakening. So there's going to be this contrast. There's going to be this conflict. And so we're meant to come as wayshores, as trailblazers. We're helping people how to find that inner Christos inside themselves, find their power within themselves. And, it might be hard for people to reconsider something else besides religion, but I want to ask you because it's interesting because my mother, she's like open to some of these ideas and she's really Christian hardcore, but she's like watching some of my videos now. And my dad talks about all this stuff. He feels he was once an angel. He remembers helping humans. I mean, I try to explain to him, hey, Dad, this is you in another incarnation. This is a part of who you are. And so if we could just reclaim that part of ourselves and walk in it and speak in it, not lip service like a lot of people do, but actually live a Christ-like experience, and we will be the walking examples, and people will usually gravitate to find out what that's all about, and then you can have an opportunity to introduce these teachings, right? So
Yes, I love that oh my gosh, I love that you said again, like, dude, you are on point. Like, I resonate with everything you're saying. You have beautiful. I love it, honestly. Like, yes, exactly. To get to the judging thing for sure, that's a whole level. That's a learning process. And, you know, yeah, that's a whole learning
yeah,
process, because it's
yeah,
definitely something that's shoved down into us. And especially if you're coming from public schooling systems where you didn't even have your parents fully raising you at that point, like you have kids and teachers and strangers raising you and all these things happening, and that's ingrained in us. And so there's just so much that happens to us, and then to unwire all of that, to be okay with it, first of all, because it's okay, but then to unwire it, to relearn all these things. And I think it's amazing that your father and your mother are now like super into, they're getting into it. Your mom's watching your videos and everything, and your dad's asking questions. I think that's the most beautiful time, because it's like, back then I used to, if people would get like that, I would get so excited, but I did this thing I like probably got too excited and they're like, all right, relax. So I had to learn to kind of, because it was a learning lesson for me to also, like, I was so strongly in everything I was learning and it worked so well for me. I felt like it was like a perfect package. And I was like, dude, you have to do it this way. Like, and then when I started doing that, I realized like, okay, wait, I'm being misunderstood. And it's not that I was like, and one, I was being misunderstood, but two, I was not realizing that that's just what worked for me. So over time, that was a thing I had to learn, and then not to judge others on how they wanted to do it, and being open to, as long as it's healthy for them, they're happy and they're making changes for themselves, that's all that matters. So that was really fun. Now it feels amazing when I, as long as I see somebody that they're like just working towards their happiness and I know it's like something that's good for them, even if it's a crossroad that they're coming at. But the fact that those are opportunities, those are all opportunities to be able to make new decisions for yourself. You can, when you come to a crossroad, and that's the way I handle all the situations that come in life now, is like, you can either handle it or you can go back to square one and start handling it the same way. But I did not do all this learning and all this work to like go back to that way of thinking. And that way of thinking never worked for me. So I'm not going back to it. So it was just like that whole shift and what worked for me. And so it definitely was a beautiful experience. And, but yeah, I just, yeah.
A little bit off topic, I want to ask you, you're an artist too, right? I mean, I've seen your art on your Instagram. Is that something like a hobby you like to do, or you're pretty good at it, by the way?
Thank you. So that's pretty much where SpaceStoria started with too, because at that time I was trying to find how to express myself, all these colorful
Mhm.
feelings I was feeling and all this happiness. And I was like, how do I express that? And so I started, I wanted, I loved space and history of space. And so that's why I started doing all these art graphics of that. So that's 3D art. So I would use Procreate for that. And I'm not like a professional painter or nothing. So I was like, how can I express myself, but still make it like that it's, something that's mine, something that's what I'm feeling. So it was a long journey of like learning how to learn how to do 3D art and things like, and like of that aspect, because I would do like mixed media, 3D art. I did learn some painting on the way. And then I incorporated all of that to be able to create my images.
Yeah, you guys got to check him out. She's got him on your website and Instagram, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Your art, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's what I did because I first of all, I didn't want to use other people's art. I wanted to make my own, but also I couldn't find something that would illustrate an idea or concept that I was trying to explain, right? And
Yeah.
so I had to learn how to make my own art, like you said, computer 3D art that would actually show it. And like, for example, going back to the teachings, she talks about all these different alien races, but there's no pictures in there. But there's some great descriptions of them. So that was an opportunity to take this skill set and actually show what these ideas of what a Laren Anuhazi cat being looks like, what a Inky Anunnaki looks like, or whatever. This is the only way I could find a way to help show this, and so that's where it became valuable. I'm sure for you find a value in that as well. It helps you in your teaching, right? In your message.
Yes, for sure. And yes, I love what you said. That was super smart of you. That was very creative. That was very like, yeah, because it's true. Like I did read those books or I would hear certain things and it is like a curiosity of like, I wonder what that would look
Yeah,
like. And so that's awesome. I love that you did that. That was, yeah, that was good.
I've
Uh,
took some art. I don't know if you did. Did you say you took some or no? Or is it just art you explored on your own, right?
what do you mean? Oh no,
Like,
yeah,
did
those
you
those
taught
are all,
yourself?
yeah, those all those that's on my Instagram and everything, that's all mine. Like that's all like there's even been like so like the flowers and everything, I'm literally like I'll get PNGs. Everything's like PNGs literally. So I'm taking PNGs and putting PNG skies together or like painting the sky and I'll get some of the characters like this one. I get like certain characters. I'll get the character from AI program. Like I'll put what I want from the
Mhm.
character, and then that way I'll pluck the character out. So I have a character, and then I can create the scenes. And so there's like all kinds of different mixed media that I've done. And I used to paint, and I used to have this other page called Moon Babies, and I used to draw girls like celestial women and things like that.
Wow.
So that was nice for a while, but I lost my passion with it because it was more of like a hobby that I ended up doing on the side. SpaceStoria was where I was like, no, I really wanted to create art, and I used to sell my art and I like sell it online and everything like that. And then I didn't resonate with that anymore because I was like, I'm not trying to make money from selling art. That's not the point of SpaceStoria. That was just kind of like people were asking me about it, and then it turned into like, hey, I could sell art. But then when SpaceStoria started growing more for the message, and that's originally what I started it for, so I was like, I don't want people to get confused. I don't want people to think I'm trying to like push like
Right, right.
store. So I didn't want to do that. And I just took all and now the art's just there online for free. And people have it other screensavers or whatever. I let people print it. I've had people from Europe, they'll message me like,
Wow.
hey, can I print your like artwork? Is that fine? I can't find it online. I'm like, yeah. Just go ahead, print it. Go for it.
Yeah, it looks like you're telling a story when you see your pictures, and this young lady is in the futuristic fashion and going through. It's like science fiction. I love science fiction. I mean, don't you find yourself connecting to a lot of science fiction movies? I mean, that's the inner starseed in us. We're from the stars, so we like, hey man, I like Star Wars, I like Star Trek, I like all these fantasy movies, right? Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. So,
I agree. I'm beyond obsessed with sci-fi movies, probably too obsessed. I watched like as many as I could, even the ones that sometimes they're like horrible. And I'm like, but let me just give it a try. Maybe it's good. It's better than watching like Bridgerton or something. Like, so I like to watch the different, like, I mean, no offense to everybody that likes Bridgerton. I'm sorry. I just like I like to watch sci-fi. Like that's my vibe. I like horror movies too, but definitely sci-fi is my
yeah.
obsession. Like I love, and that's exactly what all of it. I'm telling you, the whole space history, everything, just the essence of it all. I just kind of went back to Leslie, childhood Leslie, that's always what I loved. And I lost that part of myself for so long. And then now, I mean, we're adults, you know, so there's nobody telling us no. There's nobody saying, you know, you're not allowed to express yourself this way or that way. And so I just dug back deep into childhood Leslie, made like, and I love history. I love space history. And then just bam. And I love
Well,
spreading the message of God.
yeah, of course. It's just like we're bringing in all this information and history and in these incarnations. We're from these higher levels, and we know very well that there's all these ETs because we work with them. We're one of the ETs up there. So, and
Yeah.
so it's just something that a lot of us gravitate to. And I want to say that I think a lot of us starseeds and indigos, we talk about art. I think we're very creative people. A lot of people who would also probably like indigos would be into music, you know, or some type of um, dancing or any type of expression. We're full of we have so much to share and to express. And so I think that's kind of like a calling sign. A lot of indigos, not all, but I think a lot of them are creative, you know, in one way or another. So, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I say it like even to my son, or sometimes people get labeled, children will get labeled oh, ADHD. Like it's not ADHD, it's a very expressive child, and they need a way to express themselves, and they're very creative. That creativity, when you're not giving them something to focus on, to put that energy towards, it's going to come out. I mean, they're children, you know, and so that is something that had happened to me when I was growing up. I was labeled ADHD and I was put on medications.
Wow.
And that was like a whole, I don't blame my parents for it. They're literally, we're just doing like, again, the school system. The school system's like, hey, I mean, I know I'm hyper, okay? I know I'm, but it's just a form of expression, you know? I can still focus and it's not like debilitating my life. You know what I'm saying? It's a form of expression. And so I had been on medications for a very long time, and that was like that's a whole nother subject but that is even collides with the whole car crash thing. I mean, all of it, it's just led to, it was like a lot of me not kind of pushing down my true self, you know, pushing that indigo down, and just because of what the system was teaching me and telling me what's right. And so, but once I got out of that, definitely for sure, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it.
it's actually talked about in Ashayana even had a whole workshop on Indigo Children, and she talks about how they intentionally are, you would say, harming these kids. The system is not supporting Indigo Children. There is no manual. This is how an Indigo would live their life, right? We have to learn through all these trials and errors. Our parents have no clue, unless they're Indigos. But but yeah, she talks about how they're actually doing getting these people or sending these kids to shrinks. They're putting these kids on Ritalin,
Mhm.
and so ADHD or AD, I don't know. There's two different
ADD.
versions.
Yeah,
Yeah, you said it.
ADD.
And
Mhm.
they want you on this to be spaced out. They don't want you to claim your indigo consciousness. So there is actually an attack on, I mean, the higher ups know. Maybe the people in the industries, like psychologists, don't know, but it's definitely what do you call that? Where it's like not everyone knows the whole picture, right? So, and it's really sad because there's no support for indigos. I mean, and on top of that question, I want to ask you: do you think your son has some type of signs of being an old soul? You know, someone who you think has a potential to be like walking a path like you. Like, do you think he's an indigo?
Absolutely, to be honest. I mean, and I don't say that because he's my son, even though something that
I
probably a lot
know,
of moms say.
I know, I know.
He's honestly at the end of the day, I do feel though, it's just kind of like so many children. I feel like maybe almost all children come in indigos, unless there's maybe some karmatic cycle that's like really attached to that soul for some reason. I feel like everybody comes in with a fresh start of innocence. And through the guiding of the parent, if they are able to sustain that and help that child and guide them correctly, then that's an essence they get to keep. Thankfully with my son, he's like I mentioned, he's 9 and he's absolutely amazing. Like the conversations you can have with him, he's very open to conversations. He's focused, and it was so funny because again, my child at the beginning, people were like, hey, he's probably hyper, like maybe he's ADHD. And I'm like, dude, he's not. He needs a new learning, he needs guidance, and he needs to be taught how to focus. He did not come out of me knowing the manuals on how to focus. He came into a world that is very active. There are a lot of distractions. There are a lot of things going on. So it was like, I need to teach him, hey, I know this is entertaining to you, but focus is here now. Focus is here now. And if it wasn't for homeschooling, like I would have never got that opportunity with him because as a parent, then you're just sending your kid to school thinking, oh, they'll learn focus there. Like you'll tell a kid, hey, focus. What is focus? They don't
Right.
know focus is. We have to teach them. And so I would teach my son with meditating at times. I'd be like, okay, you got to do it. At least count to 10 in your head. At least get to 10, like calmly sit and slowly count to 10. And then from there, you accomplish that. That's cool. Now let's get to 20 seconds. Let's get to 60 seconds. Let's get to maybe 2 minutes now sitting calmly. And then it taught him focus. Now you talk to this kid. I mean, it's literally like you're talking better than to most adults because sometimes you talk to people and they're just like they're not there. You got a blank slate. Like with my kid, he will hear you out. He literally will try to understand. If he doesn't understand, he'll ask like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, can it's awesome. So to your question about my son, yeah, I think he is, but I think it's like thankfully he gave me the opportunity on bettering myself. I learned how to become a nurturer because I was not raised as nurturing. So having him was a whole uh, filled something very beautiful within myself of being able to learn how to nurture. How do you care for others? How do you give for others? And so that was a beautiful experience. And I'm very grateful for him teaching me that. So he's already teaching me amazing lessons that have changed my life. And he's only 9, so I can only imagine what he's gonna do and when he's older.
You're teaching it each other,
Yes, yes.
and that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think there's just a lot of negative programming in schools. So the fact that you, first of all, knew you should homeschool your kid, right?
Oh,
Excuse me. Because there is so much. I mean, I consider my own daughter, who's grown up already, but to be an indigo child, and she went through terrible suffering in schools and stuff. So, um, and so I think it's actually good for people to teach their own kids. And like you said, it's beautiful how it actually helped you heal in one regard or another. And to actually assist your child, like we said, there's no manual. So, but you had to be find that within yourself to be able to raise your kid in a different way than society wants to do that, right? I mean, so I think it's beautiful what you did, and I think a lot of parents might be considering that nowadays because it seems like it's just getting worse and worse in the generations that are of kids, right? So
Oh yeah, that's the homeschooling thing was definitely difficult to overcome. In my family, a lot of people were against it. I mean, my husband's family, just everybody was against it. And so it was really a matter of like standing in our truth. And we knew like this is what we need to do. Like something was calling to me, and I knew it was going to be hard because I'm telling you right now, I did not have the patience to be teaching no child. But I was like, I'm going to learn whatever I got to learn. I'm going to learn because I want to do this. Like I felt in tune to learn it. And that was all when I was learning everything. Like that was during the car accident time. That was during like learning how to withdraw from from the drugs I was given from the doctors. And there was so much happening, but the whole impact of it all is what opened me to be like, it's now or never. Like, I'm going to make all these changes now. So, and then that's what led to like even being like, okay, I'm going to homeschool my child. And so that was a whole bunch of trials and lots of things happened during that time, but we pushed through. And I knew I was like, this will get us somewhere. This will work. And it definitely worked. I definitely recommend homeschooling. I think it's the most beautiful experience you can have. It's a learning experience, how to be more patient. It teaches you as an adult so many things. Oh my gosh. And I love to do it with my son because it's so funny. The curriculum sometimes that they give us, I even get the opportunity to be like, listen, Derek, I'm going to be honest with you right now, buddy. Like, this is a lie. This is a lie. I'm going to show you what really happened. And so we'll do like our own history searches on the side. And so he's kind of seeing both worlds, how society's working and what they're teaching. And then I get to give him the behind the scenes of, what's actually is happening and why the school teaches that. And I mean, I teach my son about a lot of things, like even elite convert, like speaking of elites or things like that. And not that I'm trying to get him to be like a whole conspiracy theorist, but for him to be open that we are valuable. Human beings are valuable. And when we're herded around like a group of sheep, there's so much you can do with our energy. And so it's very important for him to be aware of who he is, that the media is against us. The media is not here. We are the ones posting and doing it with light energy and being patient with those that aren't ready to come across this information. And when we're still being cool about it, and so I think that I teach him. I feel like it's very important for him to at least know. So his free will does not get damaged. So as he grows up, he knows it's in his control. Whether he's watching YouTube and decides to watch a million silly videos, but he knows at the end of the day, he made that choice. And he needs to be wary of those choices because it will impact him in the future, his habits, the way he thinks, the way he feels. So those are all things that I openly discuss with him. And I feel they're very important. Even the messaging in social media, the messaging in music videos, the messaging in music, the messaging that they give in like, everybody, if you want to be a wolf, you could be a wolf. And it's like, it's cool. Let people be who they are, but don't let that ruin who you are. Like if the one person over here wants to be a kitty and this one over here wants to be a horse, it doesn't mean you got to be a dog. Like, you be who you truly are and stand in that. And that's what I feel like that's what will continue to make shifts in the planet. As long as we continue to teach children and adults that are learning now, it's so important for them to learn. Like, you're not what the media is saying. You're not all these things. Like, we're here to progress. Literally, you want to come back to Earth a million times, or do you want to like ascend and get this connected? And as you said earlier, find that inner Christ because in my opinion, Jesus, like how we mentioned, you mentioned earlier, I feel like Jesus was really just an amazing light worker. And because of him bringing this new energy to the field, it really brought people like, it made them feel so good about themselves. They're like, wow, like I need that. Like, that's who I'm going to follow. And it's what he was trying to teach is you don't need to follow me. You need to feel the inner Christ within you too. And we can do it together because that's how we create community. And that's where the message got lost almost in a sense. But that's what we all are. Like we are just finding our own Jesus within us, so to say. Like we are our own Jesuses, so to say. Like we have our own inner Christ energy that we need to get in tune to. And so I teach my son all those things. I feel like it's important for him, and he makes beautiful impacts even with the children around him. All the kids in the neighborhood know like Derek is chill. Like he
How
like
old is
there's
he?
I'm
How
sorry?
old is how old is Derek?
9. He's 9.
Wow.
Yes, he's 9. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's even him growing his hair. Like I love your hair. It's beautiful. I love long hair, you know. And even with him growing his hair, that was an issue with some people. You know, it was like, you don't do that. He needs to cut it. And it was like, no, absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
he wants his hair long. This is his body. This is his being because society is telling him he needs to have like some type of haircut. No, no. Like let him experiment. He's not hurting nobody. He's not doing nothing wrong. So those are all things I teach. And he stands by it. Some people come to him and they'll be like, they'll tell him silly stuff, kids saying they're bullying, and he always stands so strong in himself. And I'm very grateful that he's definitely kept his light essence. And, I pray that he continues to keep that light essence.
Well, he's got 9 more years with you, so I'm sure he will. It's
let's see
been
how let's see how those teenagers years go, and then I'll let you know where we're at.
I want to say it's already been an hour, but it's up to you if you want to keep going or you want to do a part two someday, or what is your time like? Because I know you're a mother, so
Yeah, I do. I have to start getting off. I have to put my son to bed, but we can definitely plan a part two of sometime soon in the future. That would be great. I'm extremely grateful for you allowing me to come on here and speak with you. It's amazing that I have you here and that I got to speak with you. I can't believe I'm speaking with you when, like I said, I came across your videos and here you are, and we're actually having conversation. And I like it's always a blessing to come across other individuals that see the mission, they see the purpose, they know what they're doing, they stand strong in it, and always have beautiful message for others to move forward and to do what feels right for them. And I'm very grateful for you allowing me on your channel. So thank you so much.
thank you for that too, dear. And please tell people how they can find you. Like, what do you have out there that they can see?
Oh, so I have my Instagram, that's at SpaceStoria. I have my YouTube, which is at SpaceStoria,
Can you
and
spell Storia for people?
it's SpaceStoria. And I have my website too, www.spacestoria.com. There's my art on there and some information and books that I've come across and read and enjoyed. And yeah, there's a little world in there.
Well, you're definitely a blessing and a joy. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on my show, and I'm sure we'll have another time together. And it's great for Indigos and Starseeds, people in this information to come together. So bless you and your son. I hope you have a great evening. And all of you who watched, please leave comments, reach out to Leslie if you want to, or check out what she's got going on. And be doing this party again. Thank you,
Yes,
Leslie.
we will. Thank you. Have a great night. I appreciate you. Thanks,
Peace.
everyone. Bye.
Namaste. Good night.
Night.